Hey everybody, I'm a little overdue for a BS video for 2021. He hasn't been as active lately, but he's back as we all suspected he would be. Um, Again, I want to make the point, if you're watching this for the first, if you're watching one of my critique videos for the first time, the general problem that these watchmen, so-called, present is they use the name of God and the name of Christ and the Bible, and they create, some of them, a fake ministry around what they do, and all they are doing is reading the news or watching the news and then speculating about what the news is telling us about the future, in particular how soon Jesus is coming. They all do the same thing, all of them, and you're going to see in this video perfect examples of what I'm talking about here. They have to have a sense of urgency in their tone and in the word choices they use, okay? And it has to be absolute as well, where, every once in a while they might toss in a little, I could be wrong, I guess, maybe, but typically their approach is, Jesus is coming very soon. It is so close. It's unbelievable how close it is. And we know this because of what we see. We know it. We know it. Not we think, not it's possible, but we know. That's their tone. It has to be their tone because their audiences want to hear that. So Barry Scarbrough did not get 61,000 subscribers because he got up on YouTube every day for years and said, hey guys, you need to keep the faith, keep going strong. Jesus will come someday, but just keep going, keep working for him. Here's some encouragement for you. I want to help you grow in your faith. And no. That is not how you get 61,000 subs. No. You get 61,000 subs coming on YouTube and saying, hey everybody, got this really cool new thing that I found or thought of or read. It shows us how close we are to getting raptured out of here. It shows how close we are to getting off this planet and escaping everything that's bad. And, I just want to repeat again, everything's going to hell and there's nothing you can do to stop it anyway, so don't even bother. Have a nice day. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe. That's what people want to hear. And and then of course, they push out the rapture date, not an exact one, but they make you believe it's within the next, it could be any time, any second now, but, at the most, it's a few weeks or months from now, maybe a year at the very most. That's what they've settled on as their perfect time frame. Otherwise, no one would listen to them. Try to imagine someone listening to Barry saying, oh, we got another 10 years for sure. That would be it. His subs would leave him. And you're going to hear him admit that. Here we go.
Tigerinus is going to Revelation 12, 1 through 5, which we've all read many times because of the September 23rd, 2017 sign in the sky of the woman clothed with the sun, the moon at her feet, and a crown of 7 stars, right? And we saw that exhibited in the constellations.
No, we did not. We did not even see anything remotely close to that. And this guy better stop counting on this sign because it's just, we are now going to start our 4th year since it happened. So he really but see, if you don't know Barry, you don't know that back in 2016, early 2017, he was on board in a big way with this thing. And if you would listen to his breathless excitement, you would have sworn, we're out of here on September 23rd. There was no question about it. See, again, that ongoing false urgency, otherwise no one listens to you. Now he feels like a total idiot, as he should, because he was dead wrong about it, but he doesn't want to admit it. So he wants to that still meant something. That still meant something. It had to mean something. It had to mean... He's not going to give up on it because his idiocy is staring him in the face. You're going to see the same thing with him talking about 2020, because guess what, Barry? 2020 is in the past now, and nothing you said came to pass.
Many believers, me included, are absolutely convinced that was it. I absolutely am. And I believe it was a great sign. And I believe it really kicked into the highest gear the frequency and intensity of the birth pangs. So I'll give you one example of what I would call.
Hang on a second. How does a sign kick in birth pangs? Signs don't make things happen. Is this honestly? Listen to the words this guy uses. He's such an immature person. Signs do not create events. They talk about events. That's the definition of a sign. But now he wants to tell me, oh, when we looked at Stellarium and imagined something that we saw in Revelation 12 was in the stars and used astrology, not astronomy, liar, astrology. When we used our satanic, demonic astrology to apply to the Bible, God's holy word, when we imagined all that with our vain, foolish imaginations, somehow that created birth pangs? Anyway, he's going to give us an example of the awful birth pangs.
Called both frequency and intensity. The Capitol riots, very intense when you heard about them, and you're like, wait a minute, what? Our capital is under siege or whatever. Politics removed, just the event, and remove who started it and who instigated it. I really don't care. Okay, we had Capitol riots. That is intense. And then what's this? A day later, 2 days later, they're talking about impeaching the president for the second time. That's incredible frequency. And then you're like, impeaching the president. Like, these are big, like, a newspaper uses big type for these things. Big type headlines don't come out every other day, except in the end times, folks.
See, right. The self. This is perfect on display. The self-centeredness of this view. So Barry is talking about the United States. He's not talking about the entire world here. One country where something crazy happened, as if nothing crazy has ever happened. So the Revolutionary War, and when the British burned, I think they burned the Capitol, or the original presidential house was burned to the ground. The White House we have now is not the original because it was burned to the ground. The Civil War, these guys want to go running around with their hands in the air. There's Civil War coming. There's Civil War coming. We've already had a Civil War in this country that ripped our nation apart. You want to talk about division in the country? Are you guys for real? Or do you think everyone that follows you is so stupid that they've forgotten everything about history up until 2 years ago? We are not in unprecedented times. This is nothing compared to what's happened in the past to our country. And at the end of the day, it's still just our country. And so these arrogant fools run their big, fat mouths in the name of God, and they basically say, I know what God knows. This guy is so full of himself, he literally believes that he knows what God's going to do next. And God talks to him and tells him what's going to happen next through his dreams. He sits in a $450,000 house in a comfortable suburb on a cul-de-sac in his office doing whatever he feels like because he lives in a free country. Nobody's bothering him. Nobody's breaking down his door, kicking his dog aside and saying, get up, you're going to prison for your big fat mouth. Nobody's doing that. So he sits in the comfort and stability of the freedoms that he has been allowed to have, allowed to exercise, I should say, because his freedoms are from God. And then he arrogantly spews vomit, like how trashed the country is, how we're done, how Trump's thing is causing God's wrath on our country, how we deserve all the judgment we're going to get because of the blah, 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 blah. Hey, listen, son, wait till it comes down on your daggone head. Wait till you're kicked out of your little house there and have to live with your mommy and daddy, and you've lost everything, and then now maybe you might have a chance to, you might have a little bit of an ability to say, yeah, I'm suffering. I mean, come on. Get over yourselves. We are not the center of all things that God is doing, we Americans, and this guy has no clue what God's doing next. Trust me, he's already been wrong hundreds I'm not exaggerating. He has hundreds of videos. He's been wrong in every one of them. And he told us with severe intensity all last year that last year was it. He even said, I quote, and this is the title of his video, I don't think we make it to the election of 2020. We'll be raptured before then. We will be raptured. He's been saying over and over, the rapture is soon. Not I think it is. It is. See, he's arrogant and filled with his own foolish pride, but as soon as he's wrong, he's going to, well, I think I'll go away for a while and let the crap blow over, and then I'll come back. Hey, Scarbrough, bro man, we all know what you're up to, you little lying, deceitful snake. We know what you're doing. And no, it's not for money. It's worse. It's for fame and pride and arrogance and feed my ego. Look at all these people that listen to what I say on a typical Saturday in my underwear. That's what he's after.
You can rest assured that we are in the end times. There is no, even Jack Graham, head of the Southern Baptist Convention, says that he doesn't even look for the signs anymore. He's just listening for the shout. Okay?
No, not okay, arrogant fool. You don't know that. You don't know any of the things that you just said. None. And besides, the Bible said 2,000 years ago they were in the end times. And you would admit that that's true. So you can't have it both ways. You can't believe the Bible and read it literally and then turn around and say, but today we're definitely in the end times, but it's a different end times than that end times. It's a later end time. You know nothing. Zero. And that guy probably said that 20 years ago, by the way.
There ain't no more question about the rapture being near. The only question now in believers that we're all in this Hebrews 10:25 mode, or many of us are. I know many are asleep.
Yeah, once again, I am thoroughly sick and tired of these arrogant fools who have been 100% wrong about hundreds of their rapture is near predictions, sneering in the faces of Christians who don't buy their bullcrap anymore, calling them asleep. Oh, you're all asleep. Hey, Sonny boy, let me take you over to my friends in Mozambique. And my friends in Mozambique are preaching the gospel to Muslims at the risk of being thrown in prison. Can I take you over there? And you can ask them, hey, how many times have you watched BS's crapola videos on a Saturday where he's swearing up and down for 5 years now that you're getting out of here soon? So don't worry, just hang on, we're out of here. How many of those videos have you seen? I guarantee you my friend will say, 0. I don't have time to watch that nonsense. I'm busy working for the Lord right now. Are you going to look in the face of my friend and tell him he's asleep, asshole?
Is when? Is it in a day? Is it in 6 months? Is it in 9 years? I don't think there's any way we get to 9. I think it's, where I stand. I think it's urgent. It could be that this time frame is critical to watch. And
so that whole entire spiel right there is going to look awfully stupid in 20 years, isn't it? Isn't it? It's going to look really, he's going to look like the biggest stupid in all of history in about 20 years or 10 years. Swearing up and down like how this is, and anybody who disagrees with me is asleep. Just utter crap. I can't even, and then he's got the gall to tell other Christians what they should be doing with their time as Christians. When he sits there like this in his comfortable room in his big house, it's bigger than my house, and he's going to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. Shameful.
And by the way, being incorrect in other time frames doesn't mean your perspective on this one is incorrect either. Okay, if you've ever taken probabilities, the probabilities of the quarter flip are still the same regardless of how many times it's come up tails. And you're like, man, I got 9 tails. What are the chances? Okay, it's still the same coin flip.
I'm glad he said this because this really backs up something. I've had this theory for a long time that, and he even uses the example. I think these people literally do look at it that way. It's a toss-up. So it's very odd that this judgmental clown will get on his channel and put down people for being asleep. Why? Because they don't gamble on when Jesus is coming back? I don't mean gamble literally, but just guess with a coin flip. They could be right. How is this adding and edifying to the body of Christ? sitting around speculating and flipping a coin about when Jesus might come? My theory is they look at it like that. They look at it like, oh my gosh, we have been wrong thousands, tens of thousands of times in the past. That only proves that we're close to being right. Because they look at it like a coin flip. We have flipped 10,000 tails. The next one has to be a head. It has to be. You can't flip 10,001 tails in a row. See, that's how they look at it. So again, I ask you this question. Is this a minister? Do ministers talk this way? Do they talk about the chances I could be right about the rapture timing? And if I'm not, it doesn't prove anything. It just proves that I could have been right. This is a ministry? You fool. You call this a ministry? What are you doing for anyone? You're doing nothing. I'll answer the question. Zilch. You're doing Zippo. You'd be better off talking about who's going to, make the Super Bowl this year and start talking about that.
It's still 50-50. Now, you could get into chaos theory and all that other kind of stuff, but in other words, we are not discouraged by looking for the rapture in the past and not finding it. I find that very disappointing. I get it. Well, gosh, I thought he was coming in, 2004 or whatever, and he didn't. Or 1996 or 1988. Okay, that doesn't mean that we look any differently.
See, he admits that this is all for nothing and it gets people disappointed. But keep going anyway. And if you watch videos now compared to a year ago, you're going to hear a much more edgy tone to these guys where they're like, so another Barry, Dr. Barry Awe, who apparently doesn't have enough patience for his chiropractic clinic, so he has to screw around on the internet. Barry Awe is now saying, I don't care if I'm wrong about the dates. I'm going to set dates. And I don't care if I'm wrong or not. I need dates so I can get through my day. I'm almost quoting him verbatim. I'm telling you. That's what these guys all want. They know their audience wants to hear it. Don't matter how many times they've been wrong. You know what? I will say it again. If you guys want to do this all day long in your own living rooms, with your own friends and your own circle of friends, you want to sit around and dream about being whisked to heaven, whisked into paradise forever and ever, and never have to deal with your drudgery of life, fine. Just don't come up out in public and do it on the internet where the world is watching, a world that's lost and dying, that is desperate for truth, and come out on the internet like that and tell lies in the name of God. Just please don't do that.
You're at the front door and you're waiting for your dad to come home to throw the football, and you see car lights and it ends up being a flashlight. Ah, dang it. But what do? You go right back to the door and you're like, well, he's coming home at some point tonight.
See, where the analogy breaks down, fool, is that you're not doing that. If you want to personally sit around and think about this all the time, be my guest. It's a free country. But that's not what you're doing. You're like a kid who's watching for his dad, and then he turns around and to his sisters and brothers who are not doing that, or who are patiently waiting, maybe, and you're telling them, hey, I know when Dad's coming home. Here's all the signs that he's coming home in the next 30 minutes, or here's all the signs he's coming home before dark tonight, or whatever. And then they're like, I don't know if I accept those signs. Oh, come on, you fool! What are you, asleep? You should be. So Barry, watching is not the same as predicting when something will happen. It's not the same as speculating about when Daddy is coming home, and it's certainly not about bashing your brothers and sisters for not doing what you're doing. And it really isn't about telling the neighbor kid, my dad's coming home in the next 20 minutes. And if he doesn't, then I guess I'm a big fat liar and destroying your reputation over it.
We know that the false prophet is sitting on G waiting on O, who I believe is the Pope. We know the Antichrist is ready to rise. We know he's definitely, I don't want to say definitely, yeah, I think we could say definitively that the Antichrist is physically here, because there's no way that the rapture is 50 years out, and he's probably 50, 60 years old already. Yeah, there's no way the rapture's 50 years out.
He has to say that, see? Has to say it.
That I can tell you with absolute certainty. Well, I shouldn't absolute certainty, but I do not believe there's any way we don't rapture in our lifetimes at a minimum, and I believe this year is critical to watch.
Did you catch that? He says with absolute certainty, and then you look. Well, I shouldn't say with absolute certainty. However, I've been saying everything with absolute certainty. So blah blah, back and forth. Hey, everybody, stick with me. Stick with me here. It's all about keeping my people happy.
I know I just took the air out of some of your sails there, but no.
See? He knows it. The lying little snake knows exactly what he's supposed to do to keep his 61,000 subs and grow them. He just admitted it to you all. I just freaked out a bunch of you by saying, maybe the rapture's not in 50. Maybe the rapture is in 50. Whatever it was, he started talking about time frames that are a heck of a lot longer than the usual months to a year. That's what he just did, and he knows it.
And with these birth pangs, no, are we gonna be here in 2030, 2026? Not in my view.